Hello, Disciples Women of Arizona. I have wonderful memories of being with you in person at camp, and so I've been trying to zen my way into a visit there. I trust you all are recalling good times you've had there as well. I'm about to complete my 10th year as your executive director, and among the lessons I have learned is that Disciples women are resilient. We've recently seen the resilience of the Arizona women as we've moved through and back and through the COVID pandemic and the struggles that being a hotspot has no doubt laid upon you. It's good to remember that Arizona women, along with other Disciples women, come from a long line of women who are and were resilient. Disciples women are tough. They have the capacity to recover quickly from difficulties. Disciples women have the ability to spring back when situations or circumstances stretch them out of shape. Those are marks of resilience. Disciples women cope in spite of setbacks, barriers, and limited resources. Being resilient is about having the emotional strength to be willing and able to overcome all these obstacles. On October 21st, we will celebrate our 146th birthday. In that time, women did not have the right to vote and were not seen as national leaders. However, during the Civil War, many women were heavily involved in raising and distributing aid to soldiers and discovered strengths and skills that they were previously unaware of. Carrie Nation was a Disciples woman who carried memories of a drunken, abusive father and a first husband who also had a drinking problem. Her resilience was evidenced in her anti-saloon campaign of 1873 and the founding of the Women's Christian Temperance Union. Carrie gained notoriety by her fierce aggression towards saloons. Caroline Neville Paris was concerned about the lack of work being done to share the good news, both at home and around the world. The American Christian Missionary Society had existed for 25 years for mission overseas, but was not able to secure funds to continue the ministry. Rather than giving up and giving in, she accepted a call from God to organize the women of the church to do this work. Hence, the birth of Disciples Women in 1874. Her focus on reestablishing this work would later become a $1.5 million enterprise, organized and managed exclusively by women. When the organizing work had been done and the Christian Women's Board of Missions was established, her struggles were not over. Many voices were raised in opposition when the news was received in congregations, resulting in sermons, letters, and stands against this new freedom for women. An organization organized and operated solely by women was beyond acceptance by those who firmly believed a woman's place was in the home, period. As you well know, that did not slow down their work or their commitment to the ministry to which they had been called. And those opposing voices do not restrict the work of Disciples Women now. Another group of women in St. Louis, recognizing a need to assist poor and orphan children, committed themselves to improving the situation. This resilience from horrible conditions was led by Maddie Yunkin in 1886 and is now the National Benevolent Association. Regardless of the fact that women did not yet have the right to vote, women were overcoming barriers, and in 1889, Clara Babcock was ordained. And in 1892, Sarah Lou Bostick became one of the first African-American women to be ordained in the Disciples Church. Sarah Lou's resilience was seen in her overcoming not only barriers for women, but also barriers for African-Americans. She was largely self-educated and used all her power to organize 6 women's societies in Arkansas. She became the state organizer in Black congregations and organized missionary activities in Texas. She was a pioneer in joining Black and white women to move mission goals forward. These are just a few Disciples women who have shown their resilience in overcoming obstacles of all sorts. If you feel like maybe you want to build a little more resilience when there is so much that wants to test your toughness, let's take a minute to talk about ways to practice. First, give up any sense of self-pity you're settling into. It's wasted time and it does nothing to move you forward. It uses time and energy that could be used in helpful ways. Rather than emphasizing the negative, remind yourself that you made the best decision you could, given the information you had at the time you made it. And don't forget self-care. How difficult it is to care for ourselves, and we've been socialized to be self-giving to the point of exhaustion and sometimes self-harm. Take a walk. Listen to music. Dance like no one is watching. Although, a warning, I danced like no one was watching, and now my court date is pending. Remind yourself of all the things you have to celebrate and be thankful for. Listen to your body and respond to what is needed to be healthy and strong. Offer yourself compassion and grace, and do not expect more from yourself than you would others. Give yourself some warmth and understanding. And practice mindfulness. Ignore that noisy inner voice that wants to tell you that you are not good enough, and then focus on what is real. Step back and be an observer of the situation, separating yourself from the emotions attached to it. Bring yourself into the present rather than hanging out back in the moment that is causing you to stress. You will often find that things, right now, are okay. Sadly, when we are stressed or feeling like we have dropped the ball, we seek out validation from others rather than from ourselves. This can result in being people pleasers. So don't give up your values for a moment of validation from someone else. Trust yourself and celebrate that you have a strong set of values that guide your actions. Celebrate your successes. Remember how you have shown resilience and strength in difficult situations. And journaling can be a good tool for this. When things go wrong, we often relive the event over and over in our heads, basically experiencing the pain repeatedly. Free writing for 20 minutes a day can help you get a new perspective, and looking back over your writing can remind you of the successes as well as how you were able to bounce back from other trying times. You're not creating a masterpiece, nor do you ever need to show it to anyone else. It's just getting something down on paper about your thoughts and feelings. Sometimes it works like a release. Having it written down frees you from having to turn it over and over in your mind. And don't forget to cultivate forgiveness. Holding a grudge just adds to your burden and can injure you both mentally and physically. This doesn't necessarily mean you have to let the offender off the hook, but take the time to find a positive or an opportunity for growth, and practice forgiving yourself as well. Arizona women, you are already resilient. I suspect each of you can name a list of difficult times you have emerged from and carried on. You come from a long line of disciples women who are resilient. Celebrate the gifts you have and practice improving your resilience. You will discover that you are truly a beloved child of God. Blessings on your gathering and on your time in retreat.